Welcome to Doing It My Way by Beata Matras, a podcast about project and product management, communication, brand, and IT. All these topics will definitely improve and have a positive impact on your career. So join me today, subscribe, and expect a new episode every week. Thank you. Today we'll dive into an inspiring story of resilience, growth, and doing things your own way. Today I'm honored to host Emilia Jaworska, successful and bold woman, IT project and program manager, communications expert, mentor, and podcaster based in Dubai. Emilia's journey has taken her from Europe to the Middle East, where she's built a new career while navigating challenges in a highly competitive environment. Today, we'll explore her experience of moving countries, handling burnout, and empowering women through her podcast. Welcome, Emilia. It's great to have you here.
Hi, Beata. Thank you so much. What a nice introduction. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you for inviting me here.
Thank you, Emilia, for accepting the invite. And let's start by grounding our listeners in your story. So, you have an impressive career in IT and communications spanning across Europe and Middle East. Could you briefly share your professional journey and what led you to move from Poland to Dubai?
Sure. It's a long story. So I started my career almost 15 years ago. I graduated from psychology, but I was always good at maths, at STEM, basically. I loved maths, physics, chemistry. So during my psychology studies, I loved statistics. And this is how my career started. So basically, I started working in marketing research, doing statistics, working with big customers actually since the beginning of my career. And then very quickly, I moved into the IT world, where I shifted my career a little bit from the marketing research to solution marketing. I joined the company in Warsaw, in Poland, where basically I was responsible for the knowledge sharing and internal communication first, and then it has expanded to the overall marketing of this company in Poland and a little bit international relations as well. And then after 7 years in Poland, I felt that it's time to change something. And I was thinking about countries where I can continue my career, where basically being not a native English speaker. So basically, English is not my native language. And I didn't want to go somewhere where that can be a barrier. So I wanted to go somewhere where, English is basically not an issue. I was working in English, I was speaking in English, that was not a problem, but I wanted to sound as professional, not as someone who doesn't speak English natively. So I was discovering different options, and then I think by chance, some things led me to Dubai. I went there, and actually the first time I was in Dubai, it was in January, where in Poland, in Warsaw, it was super grayish. It was raining, something with something. It was not a snow, not a rain, and it was super gray and cold. And I went to Dubai, and basically I loved it. I love the weather. I love the vibe. I love the openness. I loved how safe I felt there. And I started talking to people, and I found out that there are a lot of great opportunities for me there in the UAE. And this is how I started, shifting my mind and basically making a plan to move there.
Like what I can hear, transitioning from Europe, from Europe to Middle East, seems like very challenging, especially in a very competitive environment like Middle East right now and like Dubai. So what were some biggest challenges you faced when starting your career in a foreign country?
I would say there are different aspects of that change, right? Like 7 years ago, more than seven, almost 8 years ago, when I started thinking about Dubai, Dubai was a different place. It was not the same like today, Today, like Dubai is changing a lot every year. And especially now, there are a lot of expats, there are a lot of new people and a lot of new opportunities in Dubai. But back then, 8 years ago, I haven't heard a lot about Dubai. I didn't have many friends who lived there, and I didn't have many connections there. So first, I wanted to go there, and I wanted to check on my own skin how it is to live there. I didn't want to follow the biases and the myths and stereotypes that I've heard. I wanted to experience it by myself, how it really is. And what I felt that it doesn't really matter if I'm a woman or or I'm a man. If I'm skilled, it's enough to build my career there and to gain, a reputation, and to find opportunities there. So yes, it's a competitive market. So basically, applying for jobs there, it's very difficult. So actually, I wouldn't recommend just finding job ads and sending CVs, because probably it didn't work back then and it wouldn't work right now. It's all about networking, and it's all about connections and expanding your network. So what I've done, I went there, and basically I was trying to attend every event, every conference that I could. Of course, I leveraged my LinkedIn profile, so I bought a premium LinkedIn, and then I started checking who I know and who may know someone that would be, who can help me basically to check the possibilities. And I was also learning a lot. So I was learning who they are looking for, what kind of skills are required there, where are the gaps. And I found out the gap back then. So I found out that there are a lot of Emirati women in the public sector, in the IT sector, and there are not a lot of women in the private IT sector. So when I found out that this is this opportunity for me, I kind of knew that I would be applying for these jobs. And I also knew that to kind of build your personal brand, you need to start from with a good company, with a good title, with a good role. And you need to surround yourself with the influential people, basically, to help you grow. And this is how I started.
That's very interesting because we like touched the topic of networking and like building your personal brand in the new region, and establishing like yourself in the new market without this pre-existing network can be very tough, very challenging. So how did you approach this personal branding and career management in Dubai to build recognition in a new environment? I know you already mentioned that by you started attending conferences, you started attending meetups, and also like did this gap analysis of the market and what is missing there, and positioned yourself as an expert in that. But are there any specific steps you took to approach personal branding and career management when you first came to Dubai?
So, first of all, I was a head of marketing and sales support back in Warsaw, and moving to Dubai, I wanted to apply for similar jobs, right? But very quickly, I found out that it may be very difficult, because without knowing the market, without any contacts there, any relationships, without knowing a language back then, because in marketing, although Arabic is not required, it's useful in this kind of roles. So I was trying to understand what I'm doing on my daily basis, what I'm good at, and basically I think I have, this communication and marketing in my blood. But besides that, I was doing project management, right? I was working in IT. I was working with systems. I understood general IT terms, and I was doing project management. So basically, during this shifting of my career, I've done the postgraduate studies in IT management. I've done my PMP certificates, and I was trying to position myself as a project manager because I was a project manager, but I was doing something else. And it's not about limiting ourselves, to one role only, because with certain skill set, we can do different roles, right? So basically, I knew that I will not try to start building my personal brand there as a communication and marketing executive, but rather as a project manager, and I wanted to stay in an IT industry. So this is how I started. I started to be a project manager. I was working as a project manager for a couple of years, and working with a lot of customers, with ministries, with the government, with financial institutions, with oil and gas companies, like big players. And then actually last year again I came back to marketing and communication. So after a couple of years working there, I came back to my roots in a way. So now I know that I can do different kind of jobs. I can work as a project manager in a very IT specific project, but also I can do this communication and marketing now, not only in Poland, but currently globally.
Like, wasn't it scary? You had like an established career in Poland. You had probably very comfortable life because of that. And wasn't it scary to like start from scratch and just move to, the country you don't know, the country that is very different culturally than Poland, than Europe even. Yeah, and how did you handle that?
You can call it scary, you can call it exciting. And for me, it was exciting. Like, I've never applied, and really, that's true. I've never applied for a job when I knew like 90% or even 80% of the things I would do. I'm applying for jobs that I know like 50% or 60% because I want to learn, because I know what I know what I can do, I know my expertise. And that's also, something that I developed and I found out in myself. So I was working in IT for many years, and at the beginning, I was a little bit jealous of my colleagues who were specialized in, for example, I don't know, Java programming, or something very specific. And I had to discover that I'm a manager, that I'm a coordinator, and I'm a great people person. I'm a great communicator. I'm building relations. People trust me. I'm removing blockers. I'm helping the teams to deliver what they are supposed to deliver. Um, and I'm passionate about things. So when I discovered that, I found out that basically I'm working best if it's me and someone who is very technical, and then we are basically um, you know, we are not overlapping in our skills and experience, but we are complementary to each other. So basically, so that's the first part of the story. And then when I discovered what I'm good at, um, like nothing is scary, it's rather exciting. So yes, of course, I had to step back because as you said, I had a really well established career in Poland. I had a lot of connections. People knew me. I knew a lot of people. And then I moved there and I knew nobody, like, very few people who helped me a lot, by the way. So I knew like 2 3 people who helped me a lot at the beginning with their advice, with their with their network, etc. um, but I was excited. And I was ready, to change the country, to change the environment, and I wanted to start from the scratch. I wanted this new adventure, and it's not like that I want to do it like every year, right? But sometimes it's just nice to try something different. And I also think that this is something that that in the future will be more and more common. That basically, people will not be doing the same job the whole life, and they will not stay in the same company for the whole life, but they will be shifting not only companies, but also the things they're doing, and they will be, shifting their careers more often.
That's interesting. Again, like reframing the fear and excitement. Yeah, that's very life useful technique actually to manage our emotional states and like basically like stop being afraid of many things, because the fear and excitement, they feel very similar in our bodies. So sometimes it's about just setting up our mind to like, you're not scared, you're just excited. Yeah. And it might seem like, at first, I think a little bit weird that you're like, oh, I'm lying to yourself. Like we're all lying to ourselves all the time. Even like when we tell ourselves that we're scared of something or we can't do something, I think in the same time, we're actually lying to ourselves, because once we try, it turns out that, oh, we did it. So isn't it a lie too?
Fake
But
it until you make it. But let me ask you, because what is it to be scared about, really? Because I'm telling the truth. I was not scared. I was excited, really. I didn't know what to be scared of. And maybe this is because I was, raised like that, like not to be scared about new things and not to be scared of people, because people are just people, right? Like what
yeah.
can I be scared of?
I think, that you move there, for example, and you will not handle, I don't know, the pressure, the environment, the changes, and you will have to come back after, I don't know, 3 months or half a year. And yeah.
So there are two things about that. I think I think. So one thing is that I've also noticed as as I was growing in a way, that the most successful people that I know are not the best students, are not my colleagues that were A students the whole life. The most successful people are C plus B students, let's say, because they are not afraid to fall down from the top. And people that went on that they were on the top, they are afraid to risk, because they're afraid that they can be a little bit lower, and it's our ego speaking, right? So when you tell yourself like, okay, what can happen? Okay, I'm on the top, I'm really at the top, and what can happen? I can be a little bit lower, and what? And should I feel ashamed? No, because I'm trying, and people who don't try and they don't do new things, they are not failing because they're not trying. So if I'm there, if I fall just 2 steps down, right? And nothing happens. Life goes on. But what I can win is something amazing. And basically, this is what happened. I changed my role, and basically, okay, I started earning a little bit more than I used to earn in Poland. But there are different costs, right? So I can say that at the beginning, my life standard was a little bit lower than in Poland, but it was just the beginning. The most important things for me was to work in a good company and to have a good role and to make connections. And this is what happened. And then basically I started, building my career on these three pillars, and then the money followed.
That's that's very interesting what you said about not being afraid to actually like fail or like lower your kind of standard of life for a time being, because you have the skills. Yeah, you had the skills, and you were able to build on that, and at some point reach the level that you had, or maybe even like exceed the level that you had in Poland. And speaking about the work culture in Dubai, because it seems like very fast paced and competitive. And how does the IT and marketing industry in Dubai differ from Europe?
Just one thing that I would like to add on the point that you just said before, it's about bouncing back, right? About resiliency. This is what you mentioned at the very beginning. And it's about when we know how to bounce back and we have this resiliency inside, then we can try and we can risk, because we know that we will bounce back quite fast and quickly, right? But okay, answering to your second question about the differences. So from my observation, I may be wrong, and it's changing. Like everything is changing really quickly in the UAE. So from my observation about the IT and IT first, there are sales teams, a lot of sales teams, and some, and consulting, but not a lot of developing companies like programmers and developers. They seem to outsource all this kind of jobs abroad, mainly to India, because it's quite close when it comes to the time zone and lower cost, of course. And when it comes to marketing, there are a lot of headquarters of big companies, and I haven't really found any big marketing teams of these big players here in the UAE. There are some representatives mainly focused on the events, but the corporate marketing sits somewhere else in the in Europe or in the States. Of course, there are a lot of local companies as well, but to be honest, I don't have much experience with these companies.
And what about the terms like work-life balance and flexibility, like remote, hybrid work? Are the opportunities like that existing, or is like more office-based, and there is like just work, 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 and we're not resting?
Again, I'm very grateful because I'm in an amazing company, and we are doing virtualization and cloud, and basically we used to be very flexible. We still are, but it's changing a little bit. But I'm very grateful for this opportunity for a couple of years that I had, that we had this hybrid model of working, so we could go to the office, but we could work remotely as well. A lot of companies, especially like local companies, they require the presence in the office. And what I'm hearing from my friends, more and more companies, coming back to this fully on-site type of work, so less hybrid than it used to be. However, there's a lot of traffic recently in Dubai, and I know that the RTA, Road and Transportation Authority, they started a survey, that would check preferences and possibilities if people can work remotely or hybrid, or or maybe they can change the days that they're going to the office. So some days in the office, some days work from home. So I think the country itself and the officials, they're open to this hybrid way of working, but it depends on the company. It's really one by one. I can tell about my experience, and I was really lucky for a couple of years that I could work remotely.
Okay, that's interesting, but we can see that there is like a slight change in approach to be more like flexible because, for example, the traffic, they see that the traffic is huge, so they are trying to do something to actually make Dubai comfortable for people living there. So it's amazing. It's really amazing. And Dubai is also seen as a high performing environment where many people feel like pressure to meet expectations from society, from environment, from colleagues, from friends. How do you manage that stress while staying like authentic and true to yourself and continuing to grow professionally and personally?
Oh, so actually, we started with that, right? That from this burnout to breakthrough, because it's a journey, and I'm a perfectionist, and I'm a hyper ambitious person, and that was killing me. in the past, because I was trying to deliver everything and anything, and I knew that I can, so I was taking more and more on my shoulders, and then I ended up being super tired and physically burned out, really. So I had all these inflammations, and I felt dizzy very often, and I had no power and no energy to do things. I reached this point where I couldn't open an email because it caused the panic attacks or anxiety inside of me. So it was like 10 years ago or something, but it's when I started changing what I'm doing and how I'm working. So basically, to work smarter, not necessarily harder, because I was already working super hard. So everything started, I think, when I started to have this inflammations, and then someone asked me, when do you have time to be with your own thoughts? And I said, like, all the time. I'm driving to work, I'm exercising, I'm watching some TV, like, I don't know, like Netflix. No, not Netflix back then, but something in the evening. So I have plenty of free time. And they were like, but not free time, like with your own thoughts, just to be with yourself. And then it struck me, basically, because I couldn't rest. I was not able to rest. I was not able to not be distracted by things, to not have this ongoing race of my thoughts. For example, I started reading, and then immediately I had, okay, I need to check that, I need to reply there, I need to do this, I need to do that. And then I discovered that it's bad, that it's not how it should be, that I should slow down. And this is when I started consciously thinking about my well-being. So it's a journey, but one of the decisions that I made was, changing the country, because I know that I need sun, and I need, I need this energy from sun, and I couldn't live in the gray and cold weather any longer. Back then, maybe if I was stronger back then, if I wasn't, burnout, I would think differently. But back then, I thought, no, I need sun. I need sun, and I need to move somewhere where it's sunny and the weather is better, etc. So that was the first step. Then I told to myself, okay, I was head of marketing. I was very exposed. I want to make some steps down or back, whatever you call it. So I don't want to be responsible for the team. I don't want to be responsible for, like executive decisions. So I started working as a project manager. It was still very responsible job, stressful as well, but not that much. So that was the second step. And the third one was, I'm working these hours, but these hours I'm blocking for myself. So basically, and I started noticing the symptoms in my body, right? So I knew when I'm trying to feel my stomach, okay, it's a time for breathing. When I'm feeling, the stiffness in my shoulders, okay, it's time for yoga. So I've tried to make these breaks, even, during my work day. If I feel that it's too much, I'm making this conscious decision that I need a break, and I know now, through observing, through knowing my reactions, my body, my emotions, what kind of release I need to balance, everything. Plus, now I know that, because I'm super passionate. So whatever I'm doing it with all my heart and, like all my resources. So when I have a deadline, I like these emotions, It's not that I don't want them. I want them. So basically, I work like 150% or 200% for example, I don't know, a month to deliver the best results. But then I know that I will do it only when I have my daily routines. So I need to be really conscious of my daily routine to start the day properly, to make these breaks, and to finish the day properly, because otherwise I will break. Plus, after this, for example, a month of hyper, you know, high, a lot of emotions, I will need to slow down. So I'm not talking about vacation or, holidays, but I'm talking about having less meetings, not taking another big task to deliver, but just working slower, like not waking up with the thought, okay, what I can do today to improve the performance or whatever, but something smaller. So for example, the next 2 or 3 weeks, I'm working, on a slower pace just to bounce back and to balance my things. So then again, I can jump into something bigger. So it's about knowing yourself mainly.
Yeah, it's about self-awareness and knowing what serves you. Yeah, what you mentioned about the routines, for example, and breaks is very important because yeah, I'm also having my routines, and it's actually something that, for many people might sound like, oh my God, you're doing this, yoga, or like you're doing this meditation breathing exercise. Like you're like, woo, I don't know, like you start changing to a saint or whatever. But like people also tell me that, for example, you've changed, you're like more calm, and I'm like better for my environment. So even if, I mean, if it helps, why not using that? And the important thing is also like it's free. You don't pay for sitting still and being with your thoughts. You don't pay for breathing. You don't pay for yoga. I mean, if you like yoga classes, you can pay for that, but you can also do it at home. Yeah. So this is something available for everyone. Yeah.
Yes,
But
and
we
on that
also,
and
yeah.
on that point, Beata, I've heard something like that recently, and I think it's very it's true that before, in the past, people were living in the slower environment, slower pace, more nature, more fresh food, greenery, etc. Now we are living in a different environment, totally different environment. So if we want to cope with the number of distractors and
Overwhelm basically of the distractions and like all the signals that are coming to you
yeah,
during the day. Yeah.
exactly, you need to find your own ways to regulate yourself, because it's impossible to live in this pace and all the information. Like, some people would think that they rest through scrolling Instagram. No, you are not resting, you are making actually the opposite, right? But it's so easy, like, even recently I've seen my father scrolling like Facebook or something, and he never did it, and now like everyone is doing that, right? But it's just putting us in the more competitive state, in the that we are comparing with each other, and we think everyone lives in this paradise, whereas it's not like that. And this is one of the reason I started. I know that we'll move to it later, but this is one of the reasons that I started my podcast, to show that living in Dubai, you have your normal life, your normal struggles, your normal problems. And yes, maybe we have sun and it's a little bit easier, but still, the grass is always greener on the other side.
Emilia, you mentioned that you started your podcast, but from our conversation, I also know that you're expanding your career into business coaching. And that leads me to my next question. Like, what inspired you actually to take on this new role, and how you're approaching this new addition to your professional journey?
As you know, I'm a psychologist, so this is my this is what I've graduated from, psychology of organization and management. So I knew that I would be working in a big organizations. I always wanted to work in business. Um, but I'm also working in IT for many years right now. And I was actually looking for a way to combine these two fields. So the business acumen and experience that I have on different roles and in different companies, and working with different customers as well, with my background, education, and my passion for people. So passion for knowing our drivers, our behaviors, what causes that, And I wanted to combine it. And basically, I was thinking about, coming back maybe to psychotherapy, but I wasn't sure that it's my way of working with people. And basically, by accidents, I was asked in my company to be a mentor of a colleague, and then of a second colleague, and then actually I asked my previous boss to be my mentor as well. So I've started this journey of mentoring in the company. So basically, it's of course it's different from coaching, because mentoring is talking to people who have experience in the same field, while coaching, and this is something that I really liked and was very excited about, is not telling people what to do, but is asking the right questions and to dig deep enough. So basically, then they can discover what they know, but they are not aware of that yet, or what they can do, but that they don't know yet how to do it. And basically, it's working with their own potential. It's not telling people what they should do or advise them. And that the difference is, like, I would say advisory consulting is like, someone opens the fridge and tells you, okay, I will eat this and this and this because I have these ingredients, while coaching is first asking you, what do you want to eat? And then you say, I don't know, quinoa with salmon and something. And then you open a fridge and you see that you have only one ingredient. And coaching is basically to find out the ways how to find these different ingredients to make a dish that you really want to eat. And that's something that I really like. So I started education in that field, and I started my coaching sessions as well. I'm in the middle of the International Coaching Federation certification right now. So I'm not changing my career. I'm still working in IT, in the comms and marketing department, but on the side, I'm doing this coaching. I'm working with clients on their journeys, and basically, it's about empowering them and helping them to achieve their goals by, as I said, asking the right questions, and encouraging them to, to talk about things that they maybe wouldn't talk by themselves or with friends only, but, to reach somewhere deeper.
Do you have in mind any like specific experiences or skills from your IT and communications background that are transferable for coaching?
Yes, so basically, when you are delivering projects, for example, you need to ask your customers about their needs, right? Their requirements and why they need it, and what is it that drives them. So the background of their ask, basically. So it's not that they would tell you, I want this, but you need to know why they want it, because maybe they don't want this, maybe they want something else, but they don't know yet, right? So it's basically asking the right questions and digging deep enough to know the true answer. And it's the same in coaching. That maybe a person tells you, I want to earn 30,000, and that's my goal. Help me achieve it. And then you dig, okay, so why you want to earn 30,000? And maybe we can end up, with the conclusion that he wants to achieve this, and this. And he doesn't need 30,000, he needs 20,000. But through this journey of how to achieve it, he can reach the goal of earning 50,000, right? Because he will find these drivers that lead to this goal. So, and same with customers and same with projects. They want, for example, automation, but they are thinking about this piece of the project. But through the right questions and through the right conversation, we can discover that they can have much more, and then they can be even happier.
Yeah, yeah, that's very good metaphor, actually. Of like moving IT skills or like corporate skills, let's say, to coaching, to like more not process focused, but more like human focused area of professional growth, let's say, and like also personal growth.
But
I wanted
but
to,
one
yeah.
but one thing that I want to add is, we call it business coaching, but we call it business coaching just to show the differences, because between, for example, there are a lot of nutrition coaches, or for example sport coach, or this kind of coach. But this kind of coaches, they would tell you what to do, right? Because nutritionist needs to tell you what to eat based on your requirements and your health status, etc. And the sport coach needs to tell you how to train, etc. But the business coach doesn't tell you what to do, and that's the big difference. That's why we are calling it a business coach. But in this journey, we may discover that you want to achieve this and this is your goal, but your real goal is somewhere else. Maybe your real goal is in your life, or maybe in your health, or maybe in your family, or maybe in your friends circle, or somewhere else. So basically this coaching is not, it may be about the career, but we may discover that the root cause or the real goal is somewhere else, and it's also fine. So that's why it's interesting for me to combine this, also the psychology background and my business experience into one.
That's very interesting how you can like help someone to actually discover what they need, not what they want, because what they want sometimes might be not the right thing. Yeah. We may need something different. And life is sometimes showing us that, yeah, we are not going in a good direction. So it's good to have someone with you on that journey. And about the journey, you also started a podcast that highlights Polish women successes in the Middle East. How this project started?
Out of passion, and I'm treating it as a hobby, and it's so how it started. I'm meeting a lot of wonderful women in the UAE, really, and I think what they have in common is they can-do attitude, their courage, and their, I don't know, willingness to achieve great things. So, and I was listening to their stories, and I had goosebumps, and I was thinking, oh gosh, like I would love the world to hear that. And I came up with this controversial name, Girls of Dubai. I'm not afraid of any controversial names, because I believe that the truth will defend itself, right? So and basically when I came up with this name, none of my friends told me, okay, I don't want to be featured in your podcast because of the name or something like that. No, like all the women that I talked to said, yes, let's do that. So let's show the true face of girls who live and work in Dubai. So that was one reason that I've done it. But the second one, and I think a bit more important, was that I was part of the operating council of the women in tech in my company. So we have 40,000 people in my company, and we had quite I think a couple of hundred people, women in our women community. So I joined this operating council in EMEA. So we were running, a couple of initiatives to basically talk about women in business. And we may think that we are being treated equally like men, but that's not always true. So basically, one of the reasons of starting this podcast was also promoting women as great professionals, as very powerful people. And basically I feel, and this is what I've heard from my colleagues working and living in Dubai, is that in Dubai, if you are skilled and if you are good at what you're doing, you will be successful despite of your gender, despite if you are a man or a woman. And most girls that I know, when they were comparing, how they were treated in Europe and how they are treated here in the UAE, they're saying that they were treated worse in Europe. So that's very interesting, that there were more biases, that they were, more glass ceilings for them when it comes to salary, when it comes to, being listened to in a room, than in the Middle East. That in the Middle East, we feel that we have a voice, that basically there are no jokes about genders, there are nothing, no such things here. So that was very, eyes opening for me, that maybe we should tell about it, to the wider audience, and tell, and show it in Poland as well, that yes, it can be like that, we can be treated equally or even maybe better.
That's actually something that I also like discovered when first time I was in Dubai was like last year, and I came there and I felt safer than in Europe. Right now, like when I'm traveling through Europe, I'm like not feeling that safe actually as I'm traveling, for example, to Dubai, yeah, to the MENA region. And before that, I had like the same, I think, most of maybe European, maybe Polish society is like, oh yeah, like, Dubai, it's like sounds very exotic and you're not afraid. And I'm like, no, I mean, there's like, you can feel safe there, basically everywhere and at every hour of the day. I mean, at least I have that experience, and I was already there twice, but we'll see. We'll see. And you're kind of confirming that. So
I am, and actually, there is a quote from the Sheikh, the Prime Minister of Dubai, who is saying that if a woman feels safe at any time of a day, it means she's in Dubai. Because yeah, because this is their goal basically, for women to feel safe and for people to feel safe. And also yesterday, it was an Emirati Women's Day, and there are plenty of initiatives, and one of them is sponsored by the Sheikha of the UAE, to promote women in every sector of the business. And there were a lot of great information about how women are succeeding, and how amazingly they're doing. Like, even I was surprised when I started working in IT here, and they told us that 70% of people who are graduating from tech universities in the UAE are women. So
wow.
yeah.
Amazing, amazing. And about the kind of differences, so how the female community in Dubai differ from other places you've worked, and why is it important to share the stories in your podcasts now?
The difference that it's hard to say how it is right now, because I moved to Dubai in 2017, so it may have changed, and I'm not in this work place in Poland any longer. But what I feel being in Dubai is that I feel a great support of women who live there. So I don't feel so much jealousy, but rather, when someone is jealous, it's rather motivating that they can achieve the same, or they can achieve more because one person succeeded in something. And for example, when I started my project, my podcast, I had all the support I didn't even dream about. It was not only about, people that wanted to participate, but it was about, promoting, sharing, telling people, like, lending me the mics, the lights, offering this podcast studio, giving me small gifts like the cups, that we can use during recording the podcast, like things like that. I was not alone. And whenever I was losing my motivation, because of course we all have that, right? there was someone who would tell me, oh my God, like, let's do that, let's do this, you've done that amazingly, like, wow. I was like, oh my God, so it makes sense, let's do it. So there are small things that we can do to lift and to support each other, and they're really small. Like, for example, you can tell your friend, I've seen what you've done, and that's great, like, keep going, it makes sense what you are doing, like, I like this, or you can improve that in a constructive way, of course, but it's also great to hear feedback. I love it. Like, I have one friend who would tell me all the time, like, you made this mistake, like, correct it. And I'm like, fine, thank you so much, I haven't noticed. And of course, I'm not getting upset, because I'm just one person and I can make mistakes, and it's fine because I'm doing things. Like, I wouldn't make mistakes if I sit idle, right? So I love it, and I love the feedback, I love the interaction, and yeah. And the
Yeah,
connections, like one person knows another person, so they would tell, hey, Emilia is doing this podcast, do you want to be part of it? And it is enthusiasm, they all have this enthusiasm, and I feel that I met quite really successful women now doing this podcast that I didn't know before that. And at first I was okay, not using a word scared, afraid, excited, but I didn't know how they're going to be, right? Maybe they would treat me like, what does she want from me? But they all were like great, like super kind, super helpful, and they still are. It's not just one thing that they, for example, they were guests in my podcast and now they are not supporting. No, they are still around. So that's amazing.
Yeah, that's amazing. That like support network is like very important. I mean, when you're doing your, side project and you are excited at first. I mean, I know it from like my experience also. But this is sometimes a lonely and sometimes it's like a lonely journey, and also there is so much to learn, there's so much to do. It's like, a lot of project management, a lot of sales, I would say, even because you're like looking for guests and so on and so on. So it can be exhausting, and if you don't have like people around who believe in you and who like, push you a little bit sometimes in these like harder moments, that can be challenging, that can be tough, and there is like a higher risk that you stop after some time, because yeah, support is important.
Because you don't need to be the best, right? And you need to keep going, like small step at the time, one step at the time, and small steps, and you will get there. But very often we want something big, and then we just quit after some times. And when we don't have support, it's it's harder.
It's harder, but to be honest, like it's possible, because when I'm also like thinking about my experience, there's like, some people that are saying me like, oh, you're doing a great job, but actually I needed to make a shift and actually also like kind of say to myself that, okay, I believe in you, that you can do that, you can achieve what you plan to achieve, yeah, and that you're having fun, and this is like your personal project, to have fun with it, embrace the journey, learn a lot, and this is for you. So this is not for others only, this is also for you. So that also like helps to manage through this.
It's crucial. It's crucial, but I think it's self-confidence that you are talking about. And when you have it and you know what you are capable of, and you know that people can comment and they can say whatever and they can judge you, and what? Let them judge you. It's okay. It's fine, right? And I'm not talking about that I will continue only when I have a good feedback. No, I will continue because I believe in what I'm doing, and I know what I'm good at, right? So I will be continuing. But the support is great when you have it and it's helping, right? We are talking about that.
That's true. That's true. The journey is just easier and more fun. As we are, moving to the closure of our recording, for someone listening who's ready to like make a change but feels stuck, what's one key piece of advice you would offer them from your journey?
Be scared, but do it anyway. I think that's one thing, because on the other side, it's all about people. And at the end of the day, we are all the same. We are all the same. We all have our fears, our backgrounds, different backgrounds, our emotions. We are all the same. We are all people. So basically, and the business and passions, hobbies, and whatever. It at the end, it's about you know doing what you love, and then you will find your circle. I really believe in that.
And speaking about, things that you're afraid it, but you're doing it anyway, what are the most excited projects, personal ones or professional, in the upcoming year for you?
So there are some changes in my company right now, so I'm observing it, but I kind of, do things that I'm supposed to do at 150%, and I'm looking forward to great things to come. When it comes to my personal goals, I'm starting recording the new episodes in I think 2 months, and I'm thinking about expanding this podcast into English. So let's see how it goes. That's the second point. So keep your fingers crossed, please. And the third thing is my coaching certification. So as I told you, I'm doing this International Coaching Federation certification, and it's a long process. It's quite a long journey. So I'm on that journey. So I hope to finish that next year as well.
Yeah, congratulations. That sounds really, really exciting. Fingers crossed that it will go your way and how you plan it. And the last question is, how can listeners connect with you or find out more about your work and about the podcast and maybe collaborate with you?
Sure. So about the podcast, I'm running an Instagram page called, now it's in Polish, so maybe we can link to this page under your podcast. And for any other cooperation, professional cooperation or coaching, I would invite people to connect with me on LinkedIn.
Okay. I'll link your website and your LinkedIn to the episode description. Emilia, thank you very much for accepting the invite. It's been a pleasure to having you on my show. And thank you for sharing your experiences and being open about all the challenges and all the also benefits, yeah? Because we need to embrace the full journey. So wishing you all the best and thank you.
Thank you so much, Beata. I wish you also all the best. Do it your way. You are doing it amazingly. I'm happy to be part of it, and hopefully see you in Dubai.
See you soon.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks for joining me on another episode of Doing It My Way by Beata Matras. If you enjoyed this episode, please do not forget to subscribe. Remember, this podcast is a dynamic journey and your feedback is very welcomed. Connect with me on social media. I would like to hear your thoughts, questions, and topic suggestions. And stay tuned for upcoming episodes. And until next time, keep doing it your way.